Principles of finance, a la shmup. When are revenues revenues? Okay, you own the simplest lemonade stand in the world. You sell drinks only for cash and for $1 a drink. At the end of each day, you add up the number of dollar bills in your shoebox and you call that revenues. And that would be accurate and a good way of accounting for your revenues. But what if you guaranteed people that if they bought the drink and didn't feel happy for at least the next 30 days, they'd get their money back? Can you still recognize that dollar in your shoebox as revenue? No. Ha! You have to wait 30 days. Those dollars are a buffer against the liability of people returning to you 29 days later, noting that they aren't happy-dappy and wanting their dollar back. All right, well, that noted, after 30 days, i.e. on the 31st day after the last sale, you can, in fact, then recognize that dollar of sales as revenue. Sound goofy? Well, in fact, the once great Microsoft Corporation did the above with a guarantee on their operating systems in the mid-1990s, in essence, so that they didn't have to recognize revenues right away. And their guarantee was for almost a year. Why on earth would a company do that on purpose? Like, who's going to return an operating system for a money-back guarantee when there were no other options and really no other way to run your computer if you didn't have one? Well, at the time, Microsoft had a monopoly on the operating system business. Microsoft did it to make their company purposely look less profitable. They were worried about government anti-monopoly regulators raining on their parade, and they wanted to defer taxable income to, smooth earnings and pay less taxes, knowing that business wouldn't always be oh so awesome and that they could probably use those deferred revenues for a rainy day someday. Well, eventually it rained so hard on Microsoft they more or less drowned, and a judge chastised them for being too conservative in their accounting. Rare phenomenon, almost first time in history that's ever happened, but it happened. Well, the broader point is that revenues aren't always revenues in the real world, and there are lots of ways of capturing them. All right, so let's say your lemonade stand took credit cards, and you set up a deal with Visa and MasterCard so that they took a nickel for each sale of $1 that you made. And yes, we're vastly oversimplifying here, but just go with us. When you report revenues, do you report $1 and then have a nickel of cost always? Or do you report 95 cents as your revenues? Well, in this case, you report $1 and just deal with credit card processing costs as an expense line item forever. Why? Because if you didn't, it would cloud things. One could then ask, why do some lemonades sell for $1 and others sell for 95 cents? Like some people paid cash, some people paid credit cards. Ever note that a lot of restaurants and other small businesses charge you extra if you charge, like Visa or MasterCard, versus just paying them in cash? Well, it's clearer accounting to show your work, at least in this case. But here's another rub. eBay offers a bunch of merchandise for sale in its garage sale-like environment. It sells a slightly used $6,000 hot tub for $1,500, but eBay doesn't own the hot tub that's getting sold. They're just the listing agent behind the sale, for which they take a commission, call it 5%. In this case, that'd be $75 for the tub. And yes, again, we're vastly oversimplifying here, but go with us. So does eBay report $1,500 as revenues or $75? Well, in reality, it reports both. But the former is reported as gross merchandise. It's not that gross. And then they more or less, ignore the numbers in the rest of their income statement. Why would eBay do this? Because gross merchandise is a very good proxy or indicator of future commissions likely coming eBay's way. It's also good as a checkpoint for what the commission rates actually were. Like if you're an eBay power seller, you'll know that real commission prices are all over the map, and higher rates would be an indicator that eBay has more power with the selling community. One other perspective is worth thinking about here, people. After a $75 sale, eBay has a bunch of costs. Keeping the website up, lawyers, tracking, fig bars for the snack area, and so on. So on that $75 sale, eBay might have $25 in pre-tax profits. Well, on $75 of revenues, $25 in pre-tax profits is a 33% margin business. Pretty high margin business, and it kind of fits in with the margin structure of other analogous software companies. Well, how weird would it have been to have shown $1,500 as revenues and then show $25 in pre-tax profits? You go from a 33% margin business to being about 1.7% margin business. Well, whenever you see oddball numbers like this, listen to your dark side. Yeah, note at the time of eBay's IPO, there were a lot of commerce companies out there who had no real earnings or no prayers of ever having them. How were they valued by savvy Wall Street investors? Well, just as a multiple of revenues. So if you showed hugely high revenues, well then relative to LemonadeStand.com, you were cheap according to Wall Street standards. In reality, eBay actually had real earnings or profits over time and didn't need the on a revenue multiple basis we're cheap, that sleazy marketing things that a lot of companies adopted. Yeah, karma, it's alive. All of those companies now are long dead and buried.